Hello, I'm Nathan from the ebook reader blog. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a full review of the Kindle Scribe. So this is the first large screen Kindle that Amazon has released since 2010 with the Kindle DX. So it's nice to finally see a large screen Kindle again. We got 300 ppi on this screen. It's the first 10-inch device to have a 300 ppi e-ink screen. So it comes with the stylus. You got the option of basic pen or the premium pen, and it is magnetic, so it will attach to the side, which is kind of nice to keep it handy. The back of the device is metal. It's actually really nice build quality. I was kind of surprised by this. It kind of feels like the Kindle Oasis, but it doesn't seem quite as cold. And then it has these little rubber feet in the corners to keep it from sliding around on the desk. On the side here, you got USB-C port, power button. There's also a rotation sensor, so you can switch hands and the screen will automatically flip around to whatever orientation you have it in. So you got the warm front light on this Kindle as well, so you can kind of fine tune the color of the front light if you'd like. So it goes all the way to the orange end of the spectrum. You can also, sort of blend the two colors together with the cool light and the warm light. You can turn the light completely off if you want. And it also has an auto brightness sensor, so it'll adjust based on the ambient lighting conditions. It also has dark mode, so you can switch over to white text on a black background if you like. And that works for things other than just ebooks. So it'll also invert your interface, like PDFs. If you open up a PDF, it'll be inverted as well. So not everything inverts, like comics and stuff. Don't invert, but sometimes they do, like this particular one does. Just kind of depends on the individual file, but normally like images and regular comics, they won't invert the images. So it will have the black border, but it doesn't have the inverted screen. So there's a pretty good range of font sizes, so you can take advantage of the larger screen if you wanted to read with larger font here. And overall, the screen does look quite good with that 300 ppi. It's pretty sharp and clear. They do have a little bit of a texture for the writing aspect, so it might not be quite as clear as like an indented screen, but it does look really good as far as the 300 ppi screen goes. Again, you can adjust the font sizes really tiny, really large, so you got a good range of font sizes, and I think this text stands out pretty good on the screen. You also have landscape mode, so you can switch over to landscape as well, so you have to change that manually. The rotation sensor won't go to landscape unless you switch to landscape. Here's just a quick look at the size difference between the Kindle Paperwhite with a 6.8-inch screen. So obviously with a 10.2-inch screen, a lot larger, a lot more text can fit it on the screen at one time. The user interface is a lot like the user interface on other Kindles. You got the home screen here, which is mostly just a bunch of recommendations. You can scroll through your recent titles on the top, and you can use this little scroll bar to go down. There's the main library view as well. And you've also got this new tab for notebooks. So this is where you can add all your different type of notebooks. Then you got another tab over here for more, which has like your reading list, and you can access Goodreads from here. And you got a web browser as well. And you can get to your settings menu. So let's go ahead and talk about the interface here, just how it lays out a bit. So you got the list view. You've also got the cover view if you want to switch over to grid. If you wanted to view it by covers instead, you can go that way. And then you've got the scroll bar on the right side of your library. You can use that to jump around to different parts of your library, or if you use the arrows, it'll go one page at a time. The layout actually seems to work better on the larger screen here than it does like on the smaller screen Kindles with all your library list here. But you also got the same thing with your notebook view. You can use the list view, or you can use the grid view if you want the larger icons. It should be noted that I'm using the large display size. Up here in settings, in the display settings, you have the option to use standard or large interface size. So once I switch to standard, you'll see like the display size shrunk, like the menu icons will get smaller, like items get smaller. Your library view, I think it adds one extra book in list view here, so it's not a huge difference. If you hold down on a title, you can bring up the different options for deleting. You can view it on Goodreads, add it to Goodreads shelf, stuff like that. You can also like jump to different parts of your book just from there. All right, so let's load up an ebook and talk about some of the reading features. So as far as the ebook features go, it's the same sort of deal as you got on other Kindles. You can use the pinch zooming gesture to adjust the font size. You got a super small size here all the way up to super large, and a bunch of sizes in between. The Kindle Scribe has the same kind of font and layout settings here. So you can sideload fonts, like Merriweather's a sideloaded font. Bookerly's like one of their main font that most people probably use. So you got the boldness slider like usual. You can make the text quite a bit bolder. You can just go down, have it at the default setting here. So yeah, not really any changes here as far as the Scribe goes compared to other Kindles. You do have the option to switch over to landscape mode, like I said. Then once you switch over to landscape mode, you can flip the screen either way. I like to have the large edge at the bottom. It defaults to the top, which is strange. So you can use your stylus here. There are different ways. You can use it to add notes and highlights like this. You can also add like handwritten notes. They're sticky notes, as Amazon calls them. You can also add regular text notes using the keyboard. So these type of things, they get tied. You got to anchor them to like a highlight, like a word on the page. You can't write directly on the page with ebooks. You can with PDFs. I'll show that here soon. But with your writing options here, you have these different sized pen settings. You have different sized highlighter settings. And then this here is the eraser settings. So if you have the premium pen, you can just flip it over and use the eraser on the end. Otherwise, you need to select erase from the settings. Down on the bottom, there's undo and redo as well. So you can undo or redo your marks without having to mess with the eraser. And then up here, there's a new option to show the writing toolbar. It actually shows by default. And then it'll always have this little dark icon here if you have it displayed. So if you have this option selected, then if you just touch somewhere on the screen, it'll automatically open the note window so you can add sticky notes or text notes. And if you have it on this default selection, then the pen you can use to turn pages, or you can use it like your finger to like add highlights. In that manner, you can select words to look them in the dictionary. So it just depends on how you have that set. And then there's also, with you have the premium pen, these configuration settings for the button. So you can set the button to automatically activate the highlighter, like the eraser or sticky notes. So it just depends on how you have it set. If you have it set to activate the sticky notes, just press it, and then anywhere you touch on the screen, it'll open up that dialog so you can quickly and easily add your handwritten notes, which is kind of cool. So then if you go up on the top menu bar and hit this little notebook icon, it'll show all your notes and highlights on this one page here. You can scroll through here, and then you can export this by email. So if you hit this little icon up here, then you get this window, or you can just automatically have it set into your default email address, or you can send it up to 5 email addresses from here. So it's pretty easy to export your notes. It's a little different with PDFs. I'll mention that a little bit later. So you have all the same layout options as other Kindles have had. I really think they need to add more margin settings. You can do the ragged right margin too if you want, and you got the 3 spacing options as well. So you notice that you may notice if you're a Kindle user that the margins are larger. So they made the margins larger to accommodate that little writing tool icon. Kind of hope that they go back to giving more options for the margin settings now that we have a larger screen here, because there really isn't a whole lot of useful settings here. You can also use the themes to like pre-program different layouts if you wanted to, easily switch between compact, or has those ones that are the, just the defaults. You can set your own as well. So up here, you got your table of contents list. You can jump around to different parts of your book using this. You can enter specific pages or locations. So as far as navigating goes, nothing new there. As far as the Kindle interface, same kind of thing. You got most of the same kind of features, your search. Then you got the multi-page view here. If you're using this view, you can jump different chapters just by hitting the arrows. If you're using single page view, it will keep track of your previous locations with those dark dots you can kind of jump around to. So, overall, same Kindle interface as other devices. Page turns are nice and smooth. You do have that page turn animation with this device. You can turn it on or off, or you can have the full page refresh. Another one thing I wanted to try is that when you're using dark mode, you can write notes. It's inverted as well, so that is a possibility. And it's the same thing when using the notebook interface. You can use the white text on a black background if you like. I'll be showing that here shortly. You got the comics look great on the larger screen. I just wanted to show a couple comics really quickly. It kind of depends, on the different types of comics, how they're going to lay out. This one lays out differently than that one, but, they're both very easily readable on the larger 10-inch screen. Some comics have different settings than others. Some you can crop the margins, like this particular one. So let's go ahead and load up a PDF here. I'll do an in-depth PDF review later, but one thing I want to talk about with PDFs, it's the one format where you can write directly on the screen. So with regular ebooks, you just have the sticky notes where you have to open up that separate window. But with PDFs, you can write directly on the PDF, which is nice. But you do have to use the send to Kindle or like email to send it to your device. If you load a PDF like with the USB cable, it doesn't have the writing set options. So it's kind of weird. You can still view it, but it doesn't have these writing tool. You can't write directly on the screen unless you send the Kindle or the PDF to your Kindle. So you've got the same kind of settings that I talked about earlier with the pen and the highlighter, the different size, and then the different eraser settings. So it's the same kind of thing here. You can use your premium pen to erase with the eraser tip if you would like, or you can select the eraser from the menu and you have a few different things. You can also just set it to interact with the page like you would with your finger, so you can turn pages or use hyperlinks. Then you can export this to email like you could the other thing I showed, and then you get the PDF, full PDF with your annotations on it, so you can view the annotations on other devices, which is nice. Let's go ahead and talk about the notebook aspects right now. So it's pretty basic. You just have this interface where you can add notebooks, or you can add folders. You can have different notebooks in your folder, but you can't have folders within folders. And then you've got these different pre-installed templates. So there's a bunch of different lined templates to choose from. You got some different type of scheduling templates, and there's even like a music template here. And then you can go up here from the top menu and change this stuff. With this little notebook icon, you can change the name of your notebook. You can go in and change the cover image. So if you want it to be the first page, or you can show the page you're on. And then again, you can change the names of your notebooks as well. So these can be exported by email as well, but they're also available on like your Kindle, Android, and iOS apps. They recently updated those, so it has a notebooks tab now where you can view your notebooks from your Kindle app. So that's kind of a cool way to get them on other devices. Again, you got a bunch of different templates pre-installed on here. You know, graph paper, line paper, there's several different types of line paper. And then again, you've got the same sort of writing tools as I talked about earlier. You got the different sized writing pens, you got the different sized highlighter pens, and you've also got, you know, your eraser, custom erasing options as well. So this device doesn't have the pressure sensitivity like some other devices do. Some other devices will like change the, you know, thickness of the lines based on how hard you're pressing, but with the Kindle you kind of need to just change it manually if you want to have different line settings. So it's the same thing with highlights. You've got the smaller, you know, thinner highlights, and you've also got really thick highlights as well. So you can change that in the settings here. And then like I was talking about with the erase tool, so if you don't have the premium eraser, or if you you know, you just want to use the eraser here, it's a little bit faster sometimes if you just want to erase the full page, or you can erase the selections by just circling it. And then so for the most part, that's pretty much it. You know, it's kind of a basic note-taking device, but effective. It doesn't have some of the advanced settings that some of the other devices do, and doesn't have the pressure sensitivity, like I said. But I mean, it works well. The response is really fast. There's like very little latency with the writing, so it works well in that regard. For me, I just like the larger screen for the Kindle. It works great for PDFs, and if you just want to have, you know, more content on the screen at one time, comics and manga, that stuff works really well on the larger screen. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review. I'll be posting several other reviews and some comparisons, so check those out. Check out the ebook reader blog for more details. Thanks for watching. Bye.